What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dirty Bird Fly Through. And before we get started, remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share all the content out, follow the other social media platforms. And another week, another week back at it. And I gotta say, this is probably going to be very different than every other preview I've done so far this year. But at this rate, I wouldn't be shocked if this is kind of what previews turn into because of what the Falcons have given everyone to work with so far. And as we all know, the Atlanta Falcons are one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL. You really don't know what you're going to get from them from week to week. But I really think there's only so long that as a fan you can actually believe in this team with false hope and digging for positives to look at because heading into this game this week in particular, there's really not many positives I think you can point to, especially going up to Foxborough and facing a Patriots team that, once again, they are the Patriots. So, we're still going to talk about the game, but I really just, you also got to be completely honest with the situation. Now, taking a look at the injury report, and for the Falcons, pretty lengthy. Um, Particularly looking at the Thursday injury report, no one was listed in the did not practice, so everyone did get some practice reps in. Storm Norton, I think at this point it is sooner rather than later on when we see him, and I honestly think the sooner the better. And maybe not even for the season, but just for whoever is back there playing quarterback. Jesse Bates, who got injured versus the Dolphins, he has been limited. Same with everyone else. Drake London, Kyle Pitts popped up with an ankle injury. The entire roster is basically on the injury report. Michael Penix is still limited. Jalen Walker and Billy Bowman Jr., they have returned to practice, so those are good signs for them. You want to see your rookies out there playing regardless, because as I say, the only way that they are going to get better is if they are out there learning, and those are guys that have upside. Um, Jake Matthews still dealing with that ankle injury. Leonard Floyd, Casey Washington with a back injury, Zach Harrison with a knee injury. So, but I think the biggest name is still obviously it's your big weapons on offense, it's your rookies, but it's Michael Penix. And as far as this game goes, I wouldn't say it's definitive that Michael Penix is going to play. We obviously don't have the Friday injury report yet, and I think that's going to tell us a lot on the designation that they put on him and what we hear tomorrow. But, once again, I really think that there is a chance that we're going to see Michael Penix out there this week. I actually would expect Michael Penix to be playing Sunday, but in the chance that he's not, it's another start for Kirk Cousins. At the end of the day, I just really don't know how much of a difference it makes actually in the result of the game at this point. We saw last week versus the Dolphins. If you can't beat a riddled Miami team with only one win, it's one of those things. It's very hard to get that out of your head. It is. And yeah, it's going to lead me into this. This is the harsh reality. The Falcons have so far this year given us two catastrophic, embarrassing losses to, at the time, two of the worst teams in the whole league heading into those matchups. The only two games that the Falcons have been favored indefinitively this season have been those two games. And they have not just lost those games, they've gotten absolutely embarrassed in those games. And this is why there's no belief in the Falcons. This is why Vegas doesn't believe in the Falcons. This is why a lot of the national media doesn't believe in the Falcons. It was really shocking a couple weeks ago for San Francisco when this team was getting love because it is something that had not happened in a while. But this is why it's just so hard to really fully buy into this Falcons team. It's something that I've tried to do for a long time, but at this rate, your wits only go so far with belief. And the harsh reality is that The Falcons are in a rough position. We don't have a first round pick next year. We don't have a lot of cap money this offseason. But, those are conversations for a later date. As far as the rest of the season goes, look, the Falcons are not guaranteed to in any games. You look at some of these games remaining, that you would think should be easy wins. Knowing the Falcons, they'll go out and lose another game they're favored in by 20 plus points. That's just knowing the Falcons. You don't know what you're getting from week to week, and the last 2 weeks has really been a downward spiral. It really does feel like ever since you played your ass off versus Buffalo on Monday night, that was pretty much all this team could give to this season. That is the most. They left all their effort for this 2025 season out in that game, and since then, it's looked absolutely sorry. It's looked pathetic, and it's not an NFL team. It's not a serious NFL team, because I don't ever think in the same season you have had a team do this twice. And the difference with the Carolina game is the Carolina game was very early in the year. And it was very hard for your season to be over after that. And the Panthers are a division opponent. This game was entirely different. It was an AFC game. It was a home game. And it's no longer week 3. It's week 8. We're getting ready to be in November. You pretty much at this point, you are what you are and you aren't what you aren't. And that is the harsh reality as the Falcons head into this game. Now, the question, which Falcons team is going to show up? Because, let's be completely real, we have 10 games left, and it's still quite a bit of ball. So, regardless of, at this point, you can throw any expectations of the playoffs right now, at least right now, completely out of the window. Do not put your expectations into that. Do not even think about that at this point, because a team that loses 2 games in the same year early in the season within like a 6-week stretch to 2 of, at the time entering the game, worst teams in the league, that team deserves to be nowhere near a playoff conversation. But we have seen that the Falcons, entering the tough games, these are the games they get up for. They got up for the Buffalo game. They got up for the Minnesota game. So, what Falcons team is going to show up? That's probably going to, you would think, determine a lot about where this game goes Sunday. Well, as history would probably tell us, Falcons are probably going to come out and play their ass off in this game. They're probably going to play their ass off, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Falcons won this game solely because we are the Falcons. We do this crap. We win the games we're not supposed to, and we lose the games we're supposed to win. That's just what the Falcons have really done for years, but especially this season. That is what they have done more than ever, and that has been the story of this season. But when you have that track record, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just not, because it is the good teams that beat the teams that they are better than, and then they split the games. At the very least, they split the games against the opponents they are just as good as, or that, they're not as good as. That's what good teams do at the end of the day. That's what teams that find their way into the playoffs, they find ways to do. So, still begs the question, what Falcons team is going to show up? Now, it's not just as simple as we're playing a team that's better than us, because I'm getting ready to get into it in just a second with the Patriots. But when you have pretty much admitted at this point, the offense is on full display with Zach Robinson. We know what he wants to do, and when you're admitting that the only way that you can win is through the running game, that is the only way that you can win, that is your lifeline, and that is everything that you're going to win with, let me tell you something. You're not going to win very many games, because the good teams in this league, they find many ways to win. They don't just rely on one aspect of the game to win them, and that aspect gets shut down. Oh, well, we're going to mail it in. It's another tough one. No. But see, that is what makes Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson such horrible coaches. Now, here's the other thing. You can talk all you want about playing a better opponent. could this team be in for a letdown? They've won 5 straight games. They're young. Listen, the Patriot way is back in New England. That's what we're going up against this Sunday. And Mike Vrabel and Drake May have ushered in a new era of the Patriot way. And let me tell you something about Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, who the Falcons had an opportunity to hire, is a damn good coach. He is going to keep a team focused. He is going to have a team firing off on all cylinders. That Patriots team, I'm telling you, they are going to come out playing their ass off. They're not going to get cute. They're just going to come out. They're going to do what has worked for them the entire year, which is putting Drake May in a good position with that running game. And they're going to play some pretty good defense between the red zone. That is what they're going to do. They're going to, between the 20s, they lock teams down. They shut you down. And if you can't get things going against them early, you're going to be done for. I'm telling you right now. That first drive is a 3 and out. You're done for in this game. You're not winning it. So, yeah, that's really what it is. You can expect the Patriots to come out with the same game plan they've had. It's the game plan they've been winning with. They're going to run the ball down your throat. They're going to put Drake May in good situations. It's going to be very simple and to the point. And that will win you a lot of games with where the Falcons are at and how they love to mix it up every week, but also with the fact that the Falcons have pretty much exposed everything that they want to do. See, Josh McDaniels has been around so long that he basically knows the ins and outs. Josh McDaniels has worked with the greatest quarterback of all time, and you don't think that he's kind of doing some of the same things with Drake May right now? You're kind of crazy. So, that's pretty much that. We're playing a tough New England team, and it's going to be a very, very tough game to win, no matter where the Falcons stood this season, because New England, especially at home, they are such a good team in July. Now, chances for a win, as I mentioned earlier, we're the Falcons. Anything can happen. It's any given Sunday. Patriots won 5 straight. You know, you look at it, could they be due for a loss? Certainly. We know the Falcons, they find ways to win the games they shouldn't. But Mike Vrabel's a very good coach, and I'm telling you right now, Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson and this coaching staff, really outside of Ulbrich, Mike Vrabel eats them for lunch every single day of the week. So, the only thing that you really could rely on in this game is it's the NFL. Anything could happen. I'm not, and look, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna tell y'all that we're gonna win when I honestly don't think that we're going to. I hope we win. I really, really do hope we win. I'm still going to talk about ways that the Falcons could win this game, but I don't see it happening. I don't see this team putting together a 60-minute game, which is what you're going to have to do to beat the Patriots. Now, I'm going to look around the NFC South for a moment. Not that it really matters, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're on their bye week. They're 6-2. They've wrapped up the NFC South at this point. Give them their t-shirts. The Carolina Panthers have a better record than the Falcons. They're 4-4. They're going to Green Bay this week. I expect them to lose. The Saints, they fucking suck. They're going to get blown up by the Rams this week. Now, player to watch for this game. If the Falcons want to have any chance to win this game, Tyler Algier, you got to get him going. Because the last 2 games, Tyler Algier, he had 4 carries versus the Miami Dolphins, and the week prior versus the 49ers, I want to say Tyler Algier, he had 4 carries in that game. He's had 8 carries over the past 2 weeks. And see, when you talk about your run game being your lifeline, but you're not giving your running backs the football, it's absolutely asinine. It contradicts everything. So that pretty much tells me you're playing to lose. So if you want to start playing to win, here's an idea. Give your bruising running back the football and let him beat up the Patriots. That's what you're going to have to do in this game. It's starting to get cold. It's going to be crispy up in New England. It's going to be in the 50s. This is a game where even if it's clear, weather's still going to play a big part in it. You got to get a bruiser like Tyler Algier going, and if you don't, you don't have a chance going in. And as far as the Patriots go, Speaking of running backs, I talked about it. It's going to be a, crispy, cold game. So, especially with the injury to Ramondre Stevenson and him potentially being out, as if you looked at the injury report, his name was on it. That's probably the most notable name for New England that is probably in question. Travion Henderson, their rookie running back. He is a guy to look out for, especially with, ever since Divine Diablo going out, we have seen the Falcons have struggled to stop the run. With the reliance that the Falcons have had on Divine Diablo and obviously the difference he made, we have seen a completely different defense essentially since he went out versus the 49ers. And listen, this is going to have to be a guy that New England's going to try to rely on, and they're going to attack a certain guy, a certain linebacker that wears a Guardian cap. So, at the end of the day, if you don't have a plan to combat that, and the most simple plan would honestly be to get number 40 out of there and replace him with a DeMarco Helms or even a Josh Woods, then New England may very well eat you up in the running game also. And that's just going to be a slow death on Sunday for the Falcons. Now, I've harped all game on how I don't think the Falcons are going to win this game. I don't. But if the Falcons want to win this game, here's some keys to victory. You got to blitz the absolute hell out of Drake May Sunday. You have to get pressure on him all game. You have to turn his head sideways. You have to have him feeling those hits all the way back to last Tuesday. That is, if you want to have success in this game, that is how you do it. You come out, you blitz, and you blitz even more. If you're going to have J.D. Bertrand out there, he should not be dropping back into coverage and be getting cooked. He should at least be attacking the quarterback, blitzing. Unleash James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker if he's back. Unleash him. Have him blitz. Let these guys attack. That is how you win this game. Second way you're going to win this game, you got to run the ball more than 25 times between your two best running backs. Between Bijan and Algier, and this should be a commonality, 25 combined for both of them should really be on the low end of what they're getting from week to week. But if you're not going to run this ball at least 25 or more times in this game with them, once again, you don't have a chance going into New England. And that's why I say I really don't, once again, think it should matter if it's Penix or Kirk this week. Because, as I talk about, if you are a running team, now the run sets up the passing game. It should set up play action. And that is where Zach Robinson has shown he's not an NFL level coach because he doesn't have the concept of that. He doesn't know how to call an offense. He doesn't know how to run an offense. He doesn't know how to design an offense. You got this guy that came over, supposed to be a Sean McVay disciple, and he doesn't have the basic concept of how to use these star players. That is why the Falcons have had these dreading outings on offense, why we're one of the worst offenses in the league so far. So if you're going to have any chance, you got to run the ball. I don't care if you're getting stopped early. You run and you run and you run, and eventually they're going to sell out on the run so much, or you're going to beat them up so much, they're going to start giving up chunks. And if not that, what a smart offensive coordinator does, that's when you go over the top to Drake London and to Darnell Mooney and to Kyle Pitts. So we're going to see if the Falcons learn from their lesson. Do they? I'm not willing to put money on it, but we're going to see. And finally, third key to victory. I mean, it's really just simple. You're the underdog. And we know the Falcons play better when they're the underdog. I mean, you look at the Minnesota game, you look at the Washington game, and especially the Buffalo game. All three games the Falcons have won this year, they've been underdogs in. The Falcons are used to being underdogs, but I don't think we've seen it as flipped as this year yet. This is a Falcons team that, we clearly see they play the best when their back is against the wall. So we're going to see how they play Sunday. Now, as far as my prediction goes, and listen, I put a lot of hope into this team from week to week up until this point. I've done it. At this point, I'm just going to be real with y'all. I think we're going to see the Falcons come out early. I think we're going to see them put together a solid opening drive. I wouldn't be shocked if we score a touchdown, and I wouldn't be shocked if we keep it close early. Something's going to go wrong. Whether it's a three and out, whether it's a turnover, whether it's a big play New England has with their offense, and this game is going to get blown open. I don't think the Falcons have what it takes to combat that. Even if our defense is able to hold up, our offense is going to put them right back out on the field when momentum isn't going their way. It's things are going to get figured out. We have seen with Zach Robinson, he limits his offense to the same 4-5 formations and select amount of plays, and it's catching up to the Falcons. And that's why I'm not putting any hope into this team. So I think we're gonna get blown out on Sunday. And and look, it hurts to say that, but it's the honest truth. I do not see the Falcons winning this game with how they have played the last few weeks. And I'm going to say I want the Falcons to win, but even if the Falcons do win this game, it's really just going to make a lot of heads scratch even more, and that's where the issue comes in from week to week. So, with that being said, I appreciate everyone for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share out. I will see you all in the next one, and take care.